All right, hi everyone, welcome back. We are here with problem set 2, part 2, which is part 8 overall. You'll be using data file number 8 for this, and we are going to be looking at pivot tables. Pivot tables are a way to summarize huge tables. Whatever it is you're wanting to get out of it, you can get out of it. Sometimes this is with advanced calculations. Some of it is with basic calculations. What we have here and what you'll have here in the data file are various regions that we sell some product to, some store that carries our product, whatever that might be, and various stores in different regions. And if we want to know how much profit we made at Casey's, we could have that summed up for us right here in this table. Instead of looking at everywhere where we had Casey's, finding it right here and adding to that right here and here and here. The pivot table will summarize that for us. We could also do things like the average profit. It will either add up all this profit for us, average out the profit for us. Down here, we show revenue, not only by the customer that we sell to, but also by region. So if we want to know where we're doing well, where we're not doing well, we can see all that at a glance. And whatever it is we're trying to figure out as we're doing our analysis of how the company's doing, where we're succeeding, maybe we should sell more to a certain customer, maybe we should get out of selling to a certain customer because they're not selling well. Whatever that is, this helps us define that without having to make separate tables for every little thing where maybe we might miss one of the rows or columns. So let's get started. To begin, you're going to have just the basic information on this. And what I've done here, what I expect you to do, is to make the initial table more readable, in addition to making your pivot table. Okay, so we don't need to do that for this video, but something like what I've done here, where I've sorted it by region and then by customer. You can do a custom sort on a table up here in the editing box of the Home tab. You click on Sort and Filter, and then with a custom sort, you can choose which one to sort first. So I've got it set to sort by region and then alphabetically A to Z. If you check this box that says my data has headers, it will exclude these headers from the sorting. Otherwise, it would sort the word region into this down here between north and south if you don't have that checked. And then you can actually add a level, which I've done here, and I've added customer as the second one. So it's going to sort by region alphabetically, and then within region, it's going to sort by customer alphabetically. Now, that's not part of the pivot table. That's just extra stuff you can do in order to make this table readable. I expect something to be done there. Also, anytime you're dealing with profit, revenue, dollar amounts, this should be formatted as currency. However, quantity is the amount of items sold, and that's not a dollar amount. That's a general unit. So this should not be set to currency or accounting, but revenue and profit, I expect to see that as currency or accounting, some sort of dollar format. All right, let's get on to creating our pivot table. Creating a pivot table is actually pretty easy. All we have to do is go to the Insert tab, and then over here under Tables on the left, we've got Pivot Table. And to create a pivot table, all you need to do is select your data. Now, I want to teach you a quick shortcut. Now, I could click here and I could drag all the way down. There are 100 rows on this file. So I could, knowing that, I could type A1 colon E100, and it would select all the data. So that's one option. If I knew how many rows there were, A1 to E100 would do it. Additionally, we could click on this top one, and I could drag all the way down and just keep going, which is fine if you have 100 rows, but if you have thousands of rows, you're going to be dragging for a while. So a quick shortcut we can do is if I click on one spot and I hold Control and Shift, or if you're on a Mac, Command and Shift, and then I press the down arrow, it will go to the bottom of that table. And if I continue to hold Control and Shift and press the right arrow, it's going to go all the way to the right side of the table. So by doing that, by holding Control Shift, or again, Command Shift, or if you're on a Mac, hit down and then right, and it'll go to the bottom and then the right side of that table, and it will select everything there. And so that's what we've done. And the existing worksheet, because I clicked on cell G2 in this worksheet, that's where I want it to display. I could move everything to a new worksheet, a new tab, if I wanted to, but we're going to go ahead and put it on this table right here. So scrolling back up, you can see I've got a pivot table. Don't worry about the name pivot table 4. That's just because I've already had this file open for a little while. I've inserted a few pivot tables on it. So it's keeping track of that. And we can rename that in a little bit. But this is what you'll see. You'll see really nothing, but it says to build a report, choose the fields and drag them into the field list. So our possible fields are the 5 columns we have: the region we sell to, the customer, so the actual store that we sell to, the quantity, the revenue, and profit. And what I can do is I can drag any of these ones to, if I want them to display as rows or as columns or as values. So what I mean by that is I could take customer and add it to rows. And now you can see we only sell to, looks like 7 customers: Casey's, Dollar General, Lowe's, Office Depot, Staples, Target, and Winn-Dixie. And then what do I want it to display? Well, how about profit? Let's check our profitability, and I can drag that down to the values. And if I do that, it's going to default to the sum of profit. It's going to add all the profit together. But if I also wanted to add another value to this list, I could drag profit a second time. And this time it's going to add sum of profit again, which that's not very useful to us. But I can click on this arrow down here and go to the field settings. And now I can display, do I want to count with that? So how many times is Casey's, does Casey show up? Basically, how many stores in the South do I send Casey's or whatever, right? That would be a count. Sum would be adding all the numbers together. But let's look at average. What's our average profit here? And if I click OK, I can see on average, for every Casey's store that I sell to, I'm making an average of just over $9,000. Whereas Lowe's, very successful, average of $16,444 per store. Winn-Dixie, again, also very successful. I've got 15,000 profit per store, but I've got half the number of stores, less than half, Winn-Dixie stores than Target stores. Well, there's probably just more Target stores across the country than Winn-Dixie, as that appears more in the South or West. So that just clues us into what's going on in the company. Which stores are successful? Maybe if we're selling, if our profit is very high at Winn-Dixie, but I don't have as many Winn-Dixie stores, maybe I should try to get into more stores with our product, right? So just something that could help you out. And if we want to have multiple tables on one page, we can do that as well. So if we go back to the Insert tab, Pivot Table, and then select our same table again, which again, I held Control Shift, press down right real quick, and then hit OK. It's going to display wherever I had clicked that cell number. If I want to, if I have the insert open and I go to Pivot Table, right here is where you would choose an existing location. I could change that. If I said, oh, I clicked here, but I really want it to display here, I could do that instead. Just make sure you erase what's there and then click somewhere else. Otherwise, it'll try to select 2 different places at once. All right. So this is our sum of profit, average profit. Maybe we want on this one to display more information. Not only do we want to display the customer type on the rows, but also the region. So that's going to help drill down to that information. And then what are we going to display? Either revenue or profit. Remember, revenue is your gross sales. Profit is what you've actually, what you back out your cost, right? So let's look at revenue on this one. So values, let's look at total revenue on these stores. And you can see Dollar General, we don't have any Dollar Generals in the north. And this helps us to locate, okay, well, where are we doing well? Where are we not doing so well? So maybe we want to pull out of a certain store, but not nationwide. Maybe it's just that the revenue or profit, whatever it is I want to look at, is dragging us down in one spot, right? So I could say, I'm doing extremely well at Lowe's in the South, but whatever this product is, it's still doing well by comparison to the other stores, but compared to how I'm doing in the South, half as much on these other ones. Or here, I'm selling to Casey stores in the West, 162,000, but I'm barely, by comparison, not even a tenth of the revenue in the north. So maybe, this is actually bringing down our profitability because I have this much revenue, but all the marketing I'm spending or all the cost of goods sold in the north is so high. It might be worth just saying, we're going to get out of Casey's, and if we get out of the north, maybe this profitability goes up as a result. Maybe it's a addition by subtraction kind of thing. So that's what I want you to look at. And then from there, let's say that I didn't want to display all the stores. I'm really just interested in Casey's and Office Depot. Well, if I click on this drop down right here, I can deselect all of them and then say Casey's and Office Depot is all I want to display. Okay. Again, instead of making a whole new table for all this information, I just click on a drop down tab and I adjust it on the fly. So if I'm in a meeting room and I'm there with the C-suite, right? Your CFO, your CEO, et cetera, and we're making decisions on these matters, and they want to say, well, how are we doing on Lowe's in the West or whatever, right? So I can just deselect this, select Lowe's. Oh, sorry, deselect, hit Lowe's, and then maybe I just want, I take out North and East, and I just look at the South and the West. Or whatever it is you want it to drill down to, you can do that by selecting or deselecting from here. All right, so that's the basics of a pivot table. From here, I want you guys to play around with this on your own to see how this works, see what you think you could do with this in business in the future, how this might be beneficial to you, maybe in your current job, in a future job. And then from there, we're going to be adding some formatting decisions to this. So if I click on either one of my tables, I can go to this design tab at the top. Now this will only appear if I've got a table selected. You can see it disappears. Click on a table. I've got analyze, where I could be doing some additional formulas or calculations on it. I could be inserting additional things to it, which we don't need to do for this. But on the design tab, I want you to take a look at one thing, which I think is very handy, which is banded rows. By selecting banded rows, every other line is highlighted, and it just helps with readability. So I think that's just a good thing to turn on in general, maybe not always. From the styles here, you could choose one of several different possible styles. Some of them banded rows just doesn't work on because that's the style type. So whatever you think looks best, right? I think this one's fine. This one's good. I just personally like blue headers and then gray, but you can change this how you see fit. And then your values here, these are all currency. These are all profits or revenues. So if you're going to do that, we want it to show as revenue or profit, again, to aid in readability. So how do I change what's on display here? Well, let's start with this table. So select anywhere on the table, and then the bottom right, you can see where the values are, rows, etc. And if I want to change the title of this, if I want to change average of profit to something else, or whatever it is I want to do, just click on the little arrow next to average of profit to, click on value field settings. And here we can see the first option we get is a custom name. And we can take out the 2. Again, the 2 was a holdover because it was sum of profit to. It was the second profit related value in that list. And we'll just call it average profit. I might, that'd be a way to make it read a little bit better. And then here I can click on number format. And if this is a dollar amount, I could click on currency and hit OK. And now it's displaying a little easier to tell that this is money, right? Same thing here, click anywhere on this table, and then sum of profit, we want to do the same thing to that one. You do have to do it for each field in the bottom right. But again, let's be consistent, right? So this is the sum of profit, average profit, either way when you want it displaying as dollars. So you'll need to do the same down here, do some style choices. And then again, on your original table, I'd like to see that formatted. I'd like to see it sorted by at least 2 values. So in your custom sort for this table here, at least 2 values, whether that's region and customer, whether it's customer then region, whether it's customer and sorted by profitability, or region and profitability or revenue, whatever it is. Sort that by at least 2 values, and then make this table a lot more readable. right? I've got it like this, but whatever you think looks best. And then the other thing is I'd like your pivot table and your original table to have some consistency in terms of color scheme. So if these headers are this light blue color, this should be something pretty similar to that light blue color. I don't think these match exactly, but fairly consistent in terms of color scheme. And that's that. So I've got a link to the pivot table on the Microsoft Excel page to give you additional information if there's a particular thing you're trying to solve for. But otherwise, I think you're good to go. I look forward to seeing what you come up with as far as how your displays go. And then please make note that I did add an instruction for problem set 2. And I did not mention this in the part 1 of problem set 2, but under your page layout, under margins, under custom margins, I need to see on every one of the tabs you submit for this problem set that your page is centered horizontally and vertically. Centering your page just aids in general readability on the print preview screen, having it all centered instead of top left. As I scroll through the different pages, it keeps it consistent. And if you print it out, it just looks, it just aids in readability. So it's just a good thing to have. You don't need to do it for this, but also if you have something of similar sizes between pages, adjusting something to fit where it always prints on one page is a good general idea. For this one, it's just too large of a table with 100 rows to print on one page. So please don't do it for this page. But on part 1 of this one, you could do that. You could have it set to print on one page. I think it will anyway. But yes, on your margins, make sure you've got centered horizontally and vertically, and you have to select that on all 6 of your tabs for this problem set. All right, thanks everyone. We will see you in the next part.